Now we're working on the tailor's tacks here for the vest. Usually when you're doing tailor's tacks, I always find that it's best to start on the inside, work your way out towards the outside. So you notice I start with the pockets first, and then I'll do the dart in there, and then I'll do the outside, stitches on the outside. It just works out better that way. Everything stays aligned. So it should work out well. It's going to be a very, very nice suit. And nice thing about it is I've got a little extra fabric left over if the client would change his mind and want a different vest, or maybe he'd want a ticket pocket on his coat. We can change it. Now you can change it after the first or the second fitting. After that though, no. And it gets just to be way too complicated at that point. There's the pockets and the darts. Now I gotta outline the rest. Oh. Oh. It's best to never work too fast. That's the way you make mistakes. I always chop the tail off the end of it there. Now, start here at the bottom on the vest. Now, every garment that we do for each client is done this exact way from start to finish, which creates a very unique garment because you get to pick out the design, work with us on it, what you want. You get to pick out the fabric, the buttons, the lining. And you're not going to get to do that when you go to a store and just buy something off the rack and then they have it altered there in the store for you. A lot of my clients like suits with peaked lapels. Very hard to find those in an off the rack or a double-breasted suit. You just don't see a lot of those, and a lot of my clients like them, I believe, just because you don't see them. I personally myself always like them. You know, I've got quite a few suits in my closet that I've done over the years, and I've got about 8 that I actually do wear on a regular basis. And of those 8, 5 of them are double-breasted. So gives you an idea. I prefer a double-breasted suit myself. Much more elegant, and for somebody like me that's on the thin side anyway, gives you a little bit more added size. And I'm not exceptionally tall, a little bit below average, about 5'8". So the pinstripes here would also give me height. Now this dotted line on here is a suggestion for the front of the sleeve. There's no sleeve, but I should say the arm side. And I think it will be more attractive. The pattern had it out to here, but I'm gonna tailor tack that area. Can always take away, but it's a little bit harder to add sometimes, especially if you don't have it to add. You see how easy that slides through there with the beeswax on it. A lot easier than just the bare basting thread, even though the basting thread is glazed, which makes it very slick. It slides so much easier when it's got the beeswax on it. Plus it holds the threads together, both threads. Nice thing about it, we can chalk mark the other sides once we get all the tacks in. Now you can use a chalk wax for marking. I find the chalk is easy to use. The only thing bad about it is the edge tends to wear out, but you have to resharpen it a lot. Where the other type of chalk like this, it's not really a chalk, it's a wax. It works well, but you also have to sharpen it, but it tends to disappear after several days. Where the actual wax itself, chalk, pipe clay, it's got several names, it tends to stay on the fabric long after the easiest way to get it off is to take another piece of the fabric, a piece of scrap, and rub it with the grain, and it'll just come right off. And it won't leave a mark on either piece of fabric. It works great that way. It's always best though to just check it first, just to make sure. You just never know. And we're onto the sleeve now, the outer sleeve. This has only got two marks on it. Down here at the bottom, this is for the cuff. And the cuff is always an approximation where the end's going to be. You typically, you should have about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of cuff showing. Some people don't care for that. They just want the cuff on the coat to end on top the cuff of the sleeve. Everybody's different with what they like. So we accommodate our clients. Now this balance here, it goes across. I'm also going to put a straight one up and down for a short distance. And what that does, when you're fitting the sleeves onto the coat, everybody's stance is different. Some people tend to drop their shoulders, some people roll their shoulders, some people stand erect with their shoulders back. So you're going to want to mark the front of the suit where their arms lay. And then when you're trying to line everything up, these give you a better idea of some type of balance. Sleeves are probably one of the worst things to fit. They're very cantankerous, time consuming. One time you'll get a sleeve that'll just go in perfectly, first try, get it basted in, fits great, that sleeve's done. Go to do the next one and you think it would go in just as easily, and you just have nothing but problems with it. That's just the way they are. The last suit I worked on, which was a brown double-breasted cashmere. And both sleeves went in just perfectly on the first time. Sorry, I had a little wax stuck in the eyelet there. I'm working on the facings, the inside of the coat. Still doing tailor tacks on the inside. I left this piece in here. You see this half moon shape. Gives it a little bit more stability inside on the pocket, because that's where your pocket's going to go. I know you're probably looking at this and going, eesh, he's not using a thimble, but I'm not actually pushing it with the finger. I'm grabbing it with 2 fingers and pushing alongside the needle. For something like this, it works really well. I wouldn't do it when I was actually sewing, because you will eventually wind up putting the needle into the end of your finger and tearing your finger up, and it's just not worth it. It's gonna just tear your finger up. Best thing to do is just use a thimble. Not sure about the color of the lining yet. A lighter colored blue would look very nice with this, or maybe a red. We'll have to see. And today I plan on getting all the tailor's tacks in, getting them cut apart, and then getting the edges hemmed. There's some of these that won't need to be hemmed. Now you can use a serger, which pretty well just seals the seam. you can use a zigzag stitch on your machine if it has that. Or you can do it the way they used to do it before they had zigzag stitches on machines. They used to do it by hand. And you just have an overcast stitch that you run all along the raw edge, which will also hold it. I myself prefer to just use a zigzag stitch on the machine. It seems to be just as fast. And there's some areas that just will not need to be zigzag stitched, such as this here. You've already got extra material, so there's no need to zigzag stitch it. It stops fraying more than anything. Stop there for a few minutes.